Uh, I am a fiction writer here in Binghamton. I tend to write a lot about the body as I deal with chronic illness, and also I am non-binary. And in general, I think that leads to me writing a lot about not just body stuff, but a lot of magic realism and surrealism and things of like being disconnected from the physical world in general, because my body frequently is like, no, we're not actually going to do this here. We're trying to do something else here. So I'm going to be reading an excerpt or sort of a truncated version of a creative nonfiction piece that I'm working on, and it's called The Disconnect. When I woke up with a roughened red butterfly branded across my face, I wasn't surprised. I'd had finicky skin for years. A homemade avocado mask once burned the top layer off my face and turned me into a raccoon with 2 white circles around my eyes. We'd just moved to upstate New York from southern New Jersey shore. Same choking humidity minus the relief of breeze and salt. So when my cheeks exploded into 2 bouquets of battered geraniums, I told my spouse that clearly I was allergic to New York. He insisted that I get a second opinion. No, you are not allergic to New York, my rheumatologist told me. We'll do a blood test, but this looks like lupus. It's just lupus? Thank God. My immune system and I have long been at odds. I want my body to function properly, while my immune system wants it to perish. When you and your body have a disconnect of this sort, the journey to find the frayed wire is rarely straightforward. My first autoimmune diagnosis, ankylosing spondylitis, the bamboo spine disease, took 10 years. This time, I would receive an answer in 1 painless blood test. I left the rheumatology office whistling. I grew up in a conservative area, but I knew about trans people. Folks might vote against queer rights, but queers one-on-one were all right. I had heard of Rainbow Beach in Atlantic City. I knew there were people who were born a boy or a girl, but were really a girl or a boy, and so they grew out their hair or got undercuts and took estrogen pills or testosterone and got softer or harder so that they would appear on the outside the way they felt on the inside. I don't know when I learned about gender dysphoria. I knew about dysmorphia from the news coverage of Michael Jackson's shifting appearance and plastic surgery television shows from Nick Tucked through Botched. But dysmorphia and dysphoria are different. Dysmorphia is a fixation on correcting a flaw that is not present to the extent that the person fixating fears. Dysphoria is gender-specific, a misalignment of gender and presumed sex, and it triggers yearning for realignment rather than correction. Functionally, gender dysphoria is a disconnect between the body and the mind, a frayed wire. This type of problem need not exist on a binary. I am disconnected to both genders. I am non-binary. I did not want to reconnect my frayed wire to any one gender. I soldered it into something new. Cut off my hair, cut off my chest, most of the vowels from my name. Kept the hips, the hairless cheeks, the softness in my voice. For the lupus, I was put on a regimen of hydroxychloroquine, a drug touted as an alternate COVID cure that triggered heart and kidney issues. Sure, there are risks of organ failure, but I already have those risks from my various other diseases and medications. Most autoimmune diseases come down to this choice: risk your life now or risk your life later. Autoimmune disease occurs when your immune system decides that some normal part of your body, an eye, a joint, an organ, is a threat that must be destroyed at all costs. Your body is trying to kill part of itself. The best you can hope for is to make the time between when your body starts this murder attempt and when it succeeds as long and comfortable as possible. And really, none of us win the battle against bodily deterioration. Folks with autoimmune diseases simply fight more lopsided battles than most. Knowledge of the battle landscape assists in mounting a strong defense. But the average autoimmune disease takes 10 years to diagnose, giving the disease a sizable head start. Doctors utilize Occam's razor as a primary medical tool. Autoimmune diseases are uncommon. Diagnostics are expensive and time-consuming. If I didn't have a history of autoimmune issues, lupus would never have been a consideration, even with blatant symptoms. Decades of being told that your back pain is due to stress and your facial rash is due to skin sensitivity will wear away your faith in your own sensory system. You will try yoga and switch to Cetaphil mild cleanser and be devastated when nothing changes. You will go back to the doctor and be given the same advice. You will take a 6-month meditation course and wash your face with coconut oil and be devastated when nothing changes. You will go back to the doctor and be given the same advice. You will have doubts and you will raise them, but you will be swiftly shut down. You didn't go to medical school. You can't be trusted to know your own body. You will stifle your body's screams and tell yourself that ignoring these fraudulent pleas for help is self-care. 20 years ago, on an autumn morning our sophomore year of college, my future spouse and I dodged leaves on the way to class. He wore his usual football jersey. I donned a short plaid skirt, a deviation from my usual torn jeans and flannel. Do I look weird in a skirt? I asked. No, he said. You look cute like always. I tugged at the hem. It feels weird, sneaky, like I'm getting away with passing as a girl, which makes no sense because I am a girl, but sometimes it feels weird to be acting like a girl, but it's not like I want to be a boy, so I must be a girl, even if I'm a really weird girl, right? He let me ramble without interruption, a thoughtful look on his face. And when I finally shut myself up, he said, I don't think you're a boy or a girl. I turned this over in my head, flipped a coin from boy to girl, then melted the metal and let it spread through my chest in a warm puddle with shifting edges. I basked in this warmth until I remembered that boy and girl are the only two options. Well, if I'm not a boy or a girl, then what am I? He shrugged and grabbed my hand, pulled me closer. We kept walking. Giving a name to a problem breathes life into it so that you are not the only one who can see it. When you are the only one who can see a problem, other people tell you it isn't real. The pains only existed in my head, I was told. The way I saw it, if they were in my head, that meant that I was making them up. And if I could make them up, then I could therefore deconstruct them if I wanted to. But my back still ached and my gender still twisted my insides, so that must mean that I was choosing to keep the pains, and what was wrong with me that I would choose to put myself in such discomfort? Both frayed wires existing together, body and gender, made identifying either snag more difficult. I had no solid connections to mimic. I learned how to ignore a problem and how to trust others over myself. I normalized discomfort. You can't undo those knots on your own. You need social and structural support to slice through the tangle. You need other people to believe you know yourself. When you're denied this dignity, it doesn't fix the frayed wires. It only increases the likelihood that they will combust. I now understand that my body's choices are not my choices. My body and I are roommates, not partners. We are not bonded, but we do our best to live side by side. Sand does not dissolve into water, but ocean and shore are better as a kiss, moving back and forth against each other so we can sink our feet into the wet suction where they meet. Try to keep ourselves anchored, out of reach from the undertow. And I'll stop there and introduce the next reader, Liz Ann Young. So for Liz, Liz Ann Young lives on a small farm with dogs, cats, chickens, and some humans too, on unceded Haudenosaunee and Susquehannock land. She is working towards her PhD at Binghamton University and received her MFA from Vermont College of Fine Arts. She was the longstanding poetry editor of the recently shuttered Atlas plus Alice, and her work has been published by Black Heart, Big Muddy, Tinderbox Poetry, and San Pedro River Review, among others.
Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you for that awesome reading. Tonight I will be reading some poems. Most of them are about motherhood and the body, especially around giving birth. So the first one is about when you reach the due date and your child does not come out and you are done having a child inside of you. And you really would like her to come out now, please. And she is going to do what she wants. So this one is called My Second Daughter Refused to Come Out at Birth. Each time labor moved forward, she retreated back. Waded through the ice storm, sliced branches off every tree in the yard, whether they bore fruit or not. Crossed 5 cleared fields, crossed battlegrounds, mustard blossoms, goldenrods, fight another farmer's volunteers, old post leaning south, brittling remains of an electric fencing, overgrown gate twice as tall as stone walls. We plied her here, the first snowdrops hanging tiny white heads so close to the ground. We raised them up in villages to sing to the oncoming warmth. Spring peepers to hold small in her hand, wet and hiding, adding their verse to the chorus. Listen, little one, we are calling only to you. She waited. I beat a rotting stump, hollowed it out with my teeth, my braid coming loose. Wrote song after song for her called Now and Now. Taught the crickets, screamed, keened until the crows pleaded with me, enough. Posted signs every 6th tree, drove nails into trunks, bark growing over my words before I even turned around. We moved the ferns outside, added hooks to soffit, green arms unfurling by the dozen, reaching towards their first rainstorm. I waited for her. We milled logs for her, built vegetable beds for her, poured dirt for her, gathered mulch for her, wore worry lines in the floor. Found rootstock, could still be growing any drupe, it is too early to tell, grafted plums or pears or peaches. Found asparagus crowns in the mudroom, waiting, drying up more each day. Too early, and she stayed to tell. Primrose oil, figure 8s for her, in through the nose, out through the mouth for her. Raspberry tea, walk the edges of the forest, stack firewood for her. Beat rugs on clotheslines. In our fields, black thorns guard the apple trees, who look the same from the road, but stab your hand when you reach, drawing back too late. This next one is, this one takes place in Montana. If you weren't here earlier, I moved here from Montana. And this one is called Missed Miscarriage. Last night in my dreams, a man's hands around my neck, pleading with my daughter, me pleading with my daughter to run away and save me, but no one else was there. Last year, the cat left a bunny, dark as spilled oil, and one blonde foot dropped on the sheets between us. Then he brought another, smooth like honey, black-tipped ears hid underneath the couch. Scared eyes and feet and fuzzy butts appeared in every room. He found them, the color of burnt August grass between backed-in sedans that need a jump every morning, or the color of standing dead larch behind rusted compressors for always leaking tires. Skies without light pollution, the two-toned Frankenstein cars of Montana towns without sidewalks. My cat brought it all inside. A friend told me, they do that when you're pregnant, you know. Weeks later, when he stopped, I thought nothing of it. The bunnies had simply grown too big, wriggled from his grasp before he could drag them in and leave them spitting fur off his tongue, the orange of a wildfire-smoked sky, of Octobers in this place, leaves gathered around tires, extra jackets. Then I saw a small one, hiding behind the log for the trailer hitch, tiny ears peeking around bark. I saw it again the next day and the next, brand new, smaller than my hand, and the ultrasound said no heartbeat. This next one is an ode to my husband, and it's called Love is a Dry Stack Stone Wall. No mortar. We are nothing drilled, nothing bored, rock on rock, delicate bellies and hollowed out hips, cupping each other's space and catching drips of rain into our mouths. Remember that year when a bee moved in between our shoulders and we felt his soft fur breathing every night as dew came together on the grass blades below. Our love was the invasive vine, pulling the mailbox off, choking the mailbox to pull off its paint. Our love was a firefly confused by headlights resting on our shoulders. Sharing centuries of moss, lichen, rain, and sun, we lose parts of ourselves to become more and more meant for each other. Hope, we know by now, isn't only for when we are warm, but even when glass wings are too cold to beat. We have learned not to want to move faster, because then you forget to count the stars and won't know the day that a leaf spreads wide enough to block out Jupiter for the rest of the summer. We never think about who or what we keep in or out, or why or for how long. Only the weight of the world and the press of the sky holds us together. And the last one I'm going to read is called Learning About Apples. It is a huzzle for my daughter. A huzzle is a kind of poem where they end pretty much the same every time in rhyming couplets, or not rhyming, well, and the couplets end in the same. And then it has a little like mystery at the end. In a huzzle, you're supposed to hide the sound of your name in the last line, so you can go ahead and like try to find my name in the end there. Learning about apples. Tell me again that this apple has a seed, how much you are due its weight. Raising you has slipped me back to the past, deep into its weight. We say what we see. I love trees, Mama. Of course you do, love. I must find a way to teach you about the sky, its blue, its weight. You cut your own apples and apply your own band-aids, half a bushel of bundled up want that can only undo its weight. I say all this to not say, beware a party with mixed drinks in bathtubs. Use the word no. Just leave the boys who don't value its weight. Now is watch the blade. Now is gently. Someday, how I wasn't there to guard my own body, didn't have ways, couldn't say wait. If I teach you to eat down to an apple's core, you won't know an aching night you can't remember, won't have to shrink to its weight. My mother says it's too soon, but waiting to give you knives will only wound you more. She fought against how well I knew their weight. When you learn the sunrise, the purple of lilacs before rain opens, the men come to my falling stone wall, come through its gate. Women have been women since the beginning of time. This branch with its apple is young, but I will know how it grew its weight. Thank you so much. I am going to introduce our next poet. We have Shannon Hearn coming next. She is a poet and teacher in New York. Her poem, What Marriage Is / Tender Care, was an Academy of American Poets Prize honorable mention selected by Leah Umansky. She is a PhD student at Binghamton University and the author of the chapbooks Tracing Circles in Dirt from Bottle Cap Press in 2021 and Paranoid City from Tabloid Press in 2025. Let's welcome Shannon.
Thanks so much, Liz. Just like lose my mind getting to hear you read from these poems, all of these readings, really, thanks to Sam and to Suzanne. I'm so lucky to be here. I'm going to be reading a couple of poems from a project I'm working on currently. The working title is Gourd Stuff. That's gourd as in like blood and guts, not the fruit. A little bit of context, the project is a pretty voice-driven piece that kind of loosely follows the internal narration of one character, a nun who is grappling with the space between like obedience and curiosity, the companionship of sisterhood up against like a kind of fevery existentialism. Queerness is a big theme in it. The way her body kind of responds to the hierarchical power within the industry of Catholicism. I'd say the voice has like a real interest in the reality and the unreality kind of that microcosmic, like almost sterile religious world. And the pieces really like progress towards like the speaker of it really like kind of collapsing into her own unreliability. And like a collapse of narrative, which is also something that I'm just like myself, like in art and poetry and also the world, like very invested in. So I'm going to read like about 8 of them. Most of them are relatively short. The first one is called Circle Form. Ever felt a circle form around you? This could be attention to chalk, salt, candles, days. Literally sit down with me. Days are a circle. Soap will always run out. No, silly, not the door. Where do you stand? At the center of it? Literally just in the corner? Come out into the middle. Move the copper like a corn. Take it down like you're around to make bread. Who cares how long heat takes? Cornbread is starting. Rice pudding is across the bridge. Would you leave the corner to get to the handle? Where is the handle? Where the muscle won't sing. The next one is called Vegetable Wound. One morning, I have my arms straight up in the air. Vegetables are programmed to steal their sister's dresses. When she asks, no groans. All right, what are you looking for? Can't stop looking at that wound by your stern. Keep your face straight, then remember every second of this after the track. Fact, the infection passes. The next one's called That's Just Crushed. On the question of who can take what amount of pain, that's a truckload. Not of trash, for heaven's sake, let's hope so. But even without maggots, you said the can belonged in the cube, then somebody else forgot which basket was right. You like telling this way from that, then you let the top bang down, but it really was just the wind. Even if it breaks, the shy is what counts. Are you sure that's just crushed? In exchange, put the ice down, then force yourself in equally as far, like a lot of dust. I actually might be sneezing. That sneeze? That's swirls. No empty spots. That's just the moon. And if I was tempted by someone on the other side, I'd simply look sideways, touch my feet to the ground, then remember. The next one's called What Gore Is. Fortunately, I am quite dead now. By the water, I felt the peak. Now, can I eat it? I'll jump off. I'll just jump. Is it water or is it without a move? That could also be trees. Whatever. Now dress me. The next one's called What Gore Is. An eyelid is an earnest brutalist. Keep mine closed. Been ever since I found the water and the water wasn't decent. Liked that. Hers really are that important. With my eyes closed, if I had one, my cat has them good. I have a cat. I have 2. I look closer each time. This time, or in memory. That's what the water in the box is like. Even the water on the wall reminds me. Kiss what ground there. I was hopped up on sweet stuff. I am. I am learning my place. Insist the breeze. I am learning it. The next one's called What Gore Is Not. If I say something awful next, don't listen. Objectivity is watery and I fancy ribbons. A habit is a ribbon, like any performance is actually a mission. Build habits from fabric or any behavior. To keep hands clean is gore. This is a thought I have been following around with a leash. I have one in my mouth? Yes, that's right. A knock. My brain is utterless. Never want, not for a single pure idea. Only filth. The next one's called By Saying Door. If proximity farms tension, I am put closest to the ground. While a floor beds me, the oven grows a rash. A boot from where? From here? Doubt can be given to me. Sureness is only flat. You can take that. Won't start about expansionism with the kitchen tile just yet. Won't, not today. Do I want my leftovers in a plastic bag or on a hanger? Sour velvet slipper is the fallen poinsettia leaf. When I slip amputation under my speech, which side is under and who? I am okay for humiliation. There's more cake in pain than I remembered. Uh-oh. Ah, I am lie in the end. Crease, then ask for help. All right, and the last one I'm going to read is called Do You Believe in Knives? A pillow study. Am I going the right way? I don't remember turning around. My ankles aren't a threat. None of this is. Do believe in knives? Don't? Then go the longer side to get home, which is in a walnut seed. What ropey brains. What a stylish way to pollinate. We don't know what the honey is going to do, just there isn't only a limited supply. Watch out for curves. That groove is a fence. When the fence gets rusty on purpose, try. Forget about necessary grease or fractions or feathery grays. Study the pillow, then don't. When a miracle takes long, go swimming. Okay, so now it is just, my absolute freaking pleasure to introduce the one and only Jordan E. Franklin. Jordan Franklin hails from Brooklyn, New York. She received her MFA from Stony Brook, Southampton, and recently earned her PhD in English from Binghamton University. She's the author of the poetry collection When the Signals Come Home from Switchback Books and the chapbook Boys in the Electric Age from Tolson Books. Her work has appeared in Breadcrumbs, Frontier, Tinderbox Poetry, the Southampton Review, Torch Literary Arts, and elsewhere. Please welcome Jordan.
Hey all. Thank you all for having me here, and it's always a pleasure to read with the great Shannon Hearn, as well as the great Liz Ann Young, Sam, and Suzanne. So the way I'm gonna kick it off is I'm gonna read 2 poems from my book, When the Signals Come Home, and then I'm gonna read maybe 2 or so from this manuscript I'm currently working on. My poems I write with the body a lot, and I'm often preoccupied with the way the body fails or betrays. So, yeah. This first poem is called Inheritance. To raconteur tongue, solar flare temper, mom's cheekbones, pop's weak eyes, to knuckle busted hands, arachnid fingers, Bible names, terracotta curves, to plantations taken, vows broken, a potential future, green-legged and stalling until the surgeons saw, to musical ears, a fine reed of mouth, solitary mothers, separations, restraining orders, to holes grandfathers shaped and fathers who fantasized absence, plastic spoons, tall folks, to soldiers, sailors in violent jungles, roseless spring days, nights above melodic crack vial crunches, to Bed-Stuy, gunshots beyond school fences, grandmother midwives, Ellis Island, to Atlantic graveyard, blackened sea floor, bad hearts, troubled brains, to titles, never-ending christenings, mistakes both breathing and not, to accepting blame, love under gaslight, child-shaped collateral, juvenile bullseye, to never-ending right, a daughter, a poem. So, inspiration behind this book is that my dad was hospitalized back in 2014, and he's been a tetraplegic ever since. So like he's currently in nursing home right now. In this next poem, which is a hustle. Thanks, Liz, for defining that. It's a hustle. I talk a bit about like the kind of like my parents' health history. Like for example, my dad told you he's been hospitalized. My mom is a cancer survivor. So this poem is called Map of Maladies. 2011, kidney stones. A 2-inch tube's planted in mom. Its bleeding can wait for my hands and gauze to trap the red. She can wait on her side, voice fogged in unease. Me a step below tears as I work. I can wait under the loneliness of our bathroom light to rinse her blood off my fingers. Grief can wait for another year when the living room gives way to her news of cancer. Tears can wait over her body, heavy with new tubes, smeared in anesthesia and pain. The cancer can wait until chemotherapy wipes everything clean. I count her hairs lost to the tub's drain. She can wait to shave the rest as realization drags itself under the light. Beautiful. The word can wait on my tongue until she returns to life before me again. I can wait for the fast forward of 2014. Dad's now wheelchair bound, diabetic. We can wait for his bed sores, surgeries, hospitals circulating him between them like clots in his blood. He can wait until 2015 for the hopelessness, for his J, baby, let me go. Heaven is a broken vein and it can't wait. So I'm reading newer stuff. It's for my dissertation, hopefully with my second poetry collection. And it's all about this main character named Poet who finds himself in a zombie apocalypse. So, yeah. So this poem is called Why Poet Shaved Her Head During the Zombie Apocalypse. When the world blinks out for good, there'll be no time for perms or relaxers. No more hours spent in a salon chair. No more chemical burns to leave patches in my scalp. Now I can get caught in the rain without ruining my hair. There's less sweat on the back of my neck. There will be no time for perms or relaxers. In public, I'm invisible. I muffle my footsteps, slow my breathing until the only sign of life in me is the way I escape stage right. With the locks gone, there's nothing left to hold on to. No entry points in a fight. No red flags. I am as impenetrable as I've always wanted to be. There will be no time for perms or relaxers. I've shed expectations. Michonne came to me in a dream and gave me the go-ahead. No hair left on me to say, sweet, try me, victim. I got tired of eyes and fingers getting caught in the strands. There will be no time for perms or relaxers. I see myself clearer in the mirror. Now it's easier to wash the blood from my scalp. All right, so this is the last one. Thank you for bearing with me. It's part of this sonnet sequence that's gonna be hopefully in my manuscript. This one is called Two, Poet Draws with Her Father. Question: tell us about your earliest encounter with the assailants. I didn't pry. I aimed, squeezed the trigger, reached his bleeding heart. As the world blinked out, Father decided to go first. Said his hands were steady enough for the pen. A failed artist, he wanted to draw a hole in himself large enough to exit through. Minimal mess, neat, no need to erase or try again. I remember the sun's burst of orange, its pulp mangled by the window blinds, the low hiccups of the television under our breaths in his room. A Bible spine glared at us from his bed. Honor thy father even if it hurts him. Honor him with every digit in your hand and every spark in your cells. Let him go so he may walk the remains of this earth through you. I watched him draw the circle in his chest, waited as he spilled out as much of himself as he could into the room. Father lied. He did not die. All of him couldn't get out. No, I loved my father. No, my hand was steady. Thank you.